So you're thinking about running, but not sure how to take the first step. My name is Brian Patterson, and I'm here to help. Welcome to Brian's Run Pod. Welcome back to Brian's Run Pod, and your go-to source for all things running. And can you believe it? We're hurtling towards the end of the year, and it seems only just like yesterday when I started this podcast on the 1st of January. Now, with Christmas around the corner, the big question is, what on earth do I get for that special someone who's passionate about pounding the pavement? Well, fear not, because today we've got the answers you've been looking for. I'm absolutely thrilled to be sitting with a true expert in the field. No pressure. Join us today, Tom Long, a familiar face for those in the running community around Teddington. Tom works up at the fantastic Up and Running store, and he's here to guide us through the maze of the Christmas gift options at every price point. So whether you're on a budget or looking to splurge out on that perfect gift, Tom's got that inside scoop. So get ready for some fantastic insights, recommendations, and maybe some surprises along the way. So without further ado, let's dive into this festive episode and find out what's on the wish list for the runners this Christmas. So, Tom, welcome to the podcast.
Oh, brilliant. I'm on now, am I?
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for having me, Brian. It's an absolute pleasure.
Now, or texting you earlier, you've kind of got a weird route into running, as it were. You're a rower.
Yes. So it's not exactly what you call like an orthodox route. Yeah. So my main sport for, I guess, 8 years was rowing. I was a little bit lighter than a lot of the other rowers, so I did do running as like part of the training. But yeah, rowed at school for, I guess, 5 years. Like 5 to 6 years, I guess. And then uni up in Newcastle for another like 2 or 3 years.
Okay.
Yeah. And it involved a lot of kind of aerobic fitness stuff, but also I'd say a bit more strength in, relation like compared to running. But yeah, with me, the reason I kind of took up running fully was because I got quite ill like towards the end of my rowing career. So unfortunately couldn't continue that. But it was basically like a overtraining, glandular fever, or one whole unholy amalgamation of everything going wrong. Yeah. And so I had to take kind of 4 years out of everything. But then running was quite a good way of kind of introducing it back in. Like with there was a chronic fatigue clinic up in Newcastle. Oh, right. So a very convenient commute for someone afflicted by it. But no, so I worked a lot with them, and they said, look, basically, if you do want to get better, you have to slowly like build up any kind of, exercise along with a lot of other stuff. I mean, there's no guarantee you will get better, but it's just a matter of like dealing with the symptoms until maybe you do. It feels a bit like headbutting a wall and hoping it will fall down, but eventually it does sometimes happen. For me, I was lucky enough that it did. And the way I kind of, increased exercise was through initially just doing like a couch to 5K. So it's much, much more accessible than something like rowing, where, you want to go to a gym or you have to have a boat club or something. You have to have friends and stuff to row with. Always a problem. So it's like I went through the entire route basically, although I'd done a lot of running before. I had to start from baseline. So went through the whole couch to 5K process, built up, did a whole kind of training cycle. Started running around the same time as I joined the shop. Quite a sharp learning curve, talking about aspects of a sport that I'd never really like fully committed to, but it was nice. It's very fun learning about kind of the different aspects of training. The training programs that I'd done before were usually quite high intensity. Like with rowing, you can get away with it because it's not necessarily like a high impact sport. More and more like countries and squads are going to more of, again, like the whole 80-20 rule, 80 kind of easy, 20, intense training. Like that's now in the literature kind of a pretty like sound methodology for kind of endurance training. But back when I was training, the two training programs I had were both really high intensity. So for me, being told by the other guys in the shop, 80% of your miles have to be quite easy was revolutionary to me. I was like, I finish a run and I don't hurt. Like, it's incredible. So not only did I learn a new method of training, but I was kind of, learning really kind of the process of, getting into a new sport, starting from, I was an athlete back in the day. I'd do around 20 hours of training a week for rowing, like 14 to 15 sessions a week. But, starting from pretty much baseline and then just kind of carrying it on up. So yeah, like the Couch 5K, I recommend that to anyone getting into running. With me personally, it was a matter of doing enough exercise that I could, get my body used to kind of, that slightly higher level of inflammation and stuff.
Yeah.
But with me, the problem was that anything would really shoot that inflammation through the roof. And so it used to be, at this point, maybe 3 years ago when I still had it, climbing upstairs would cause me DOMS for like a week or something. But
really?
Yeah, but now obviously you have to, slowly over years and years, you kind of build up the tolerance again. And now I can train, quite considerably, which is nice. But yeah, so the Couch 5K in itself it's basically has that kind of, injury prevention and in my case, like regression kind of proof built into it where, there's a lot of walking involved because you have to, temper how much you run in each session, gives you intervals. And then it says, you only really do 2 or 3 of these sessions a week. So it's good, not only for me, but for the general person, even if you don't have like an illness or something like that, it prevents injury. And like alongside that, you see people come in and do gait analysis in the shop. Mainly it's important for people getting into running because they're at their most vulnerable point at that point. They need to have the correct support, have the correct mindset, being a bit more kind of, relaxed, kind of moving into it, not too stressed. And then you kind of get through the first couple of months of conditioning and without any kind of, injuries or anything. But yeah, I then went and did like a decent kind of block of training. I ended up doing, I guess, from like the inception, I think I joined in maybe the September of 2020, possibly. And then I did a block of training after I completed the Couch 5K, which would have been maybe January, was it like, no, it wasn't January. I think it was maybe even like February, March time, 21, because I made sure I like took long enough during it. And then that kind of, my training peaked in September that year when I did the Great North Run. So it's nice going back up to Newcastle and stuff, especially since I'd had that spot. I got through the ballot in my first year of uni. I'd always been too ill or injured to actually do it. So 5 years later, it was quite nice. So I did that. I was very pleased with it. I got almost sub 75 on that, so that was cool. It's just 75.08. I got to the end. I wasn't really gutted because I left everything out there, but I kind of afterwards, if they've only had fallen down that hill at the end a little bit quicker or something. But no, it was a great course.
It's interesting that you were, pretty much an athlete at one stage.
Yes, yeah.
But you didn't think it wasn't, I don't know, for want of a better phrase of putting it, it was beneath you to actually go back to basics, to do something like a Couch 5K, although, people would normally be, if they were introducing themselves into running, they use that as a program, quote unquote, program sort of thing. But even you as a semi, athlete, you decided it as a way of getting back into.
Yeah, definitely. Like it's all, as all these things are, like all these training programs, it's all about kind of, tools and toolbox, just helping you achieve whatever you want to do. In this case, like it was the perfect thing for me. And I know people who have, tried to get into running from doing hours and hours in the gym, strength work. They want to become more of a hybrid athlete. They have the same problem. I mean, they're used to doing hours and hours of training a week. So I would consider them an athlete as well. But, starting running is again, it's not a scary thing if you do it correctly. It's just some people can pick up injuries. They have, visions of their knee suddenly hurting. And this not only takes the stress out of it, but also, or not ensures, but definitely kind of sets you up for a smooth transition into something like running. So I'd fully recommend, even if someone is coming from another sport or like more of a kind of strength background, and it goes past pretty quickly, really. I mean, with me, it took maybe 3 months or so because I was really nursing it. I think most of these programs, depending which one you go with, I think I did that at the NHS one, you probably get it done in like 2 months or less, really. But definitely fully recommend it for people kind of coming into it.
So moving along, in terms of up and running, I mean, what can you tell me about, the shop and up and running? I mean, it started? It's been, what's the kind of like the...
It's been going for, 30 years now. Dennis McFarlane and his partner, Gillian, they want to keep it like they want to keep it a specialist company. They don't want to reduce it to anything where we're just kind of bulk buy selling shoes or anything like that. They have never. I mean, a lot of companies don't, but they're very adamant and not charging for any of like the specialist information we give away, the gait analysis, anything like that. Like all that stuff is useful, but they kind of see that as a baseline, right? Like, because we are a running specialist. Yes, we serve shoes to people who might just kind of, walk around. Like we have a lot of NHS workers who come in, they're on their feet 10 hours a day. They've been recommended by, podiatrists to wear something softer. There are those customers that running shoes do work for non-running purposes, but vast majority of our customers come in and, they come here because they want to know exactly the right shoe to help them. I mean, there are lots of shops out there that you walk in, you'll be approached, you approach the wall of kind of, just loads and loads of shoes. Oftentimes the people there, they don't really approach you, or you have to go up and say, oh, can I try this, this and this? And they just bring the shoes out with no extra information.
Right.
Well, with us, we all, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, I am the one who runs like the least here. The rest of the staff here, you have, I mean, in the ground, I'd say, again, in the grand scheme of things. In reference to the rest of the company, this is probably, I guess, a little bit more sporty of a shop in terms of the staff. But, we have people like Matt out there has done, a 14:30 or sub 14:35K. We've got Alex Dunbar, the manager, he's done a sub 30 10K on the track. Mo Hashi, who's, marathon runner here.
Trains out in Kenya, is
that
right?
Yes, exactly. So he's doing, was it Valencia at the weekend? That one? Yeah, so literally tomorrow. So
right.
Good luck to him. I mean, it'll probably be out after he runs it, but I hope you did well. Yeah, he's done a 2:24. We have Emma Bond. She did London 2:52, I believe it was. So it's again like we hire people who are passionate about running. It's not just another shop trying to sell shoes.
People shouldn't feel intimidated.
No,
exactly.
Definitely not. I mean,
it's there to provide you expert.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we've all kind of been in the position of not, being good at not necessarily running, but loads of things, right? Like we can all empathize with, going into a shop or an area of expertise and not knowing much. So not only as people, we can usually communicate, the little steps up to whatever you want to achieve. But, we've all started off running at certain points. With me, obviously it happened to be, relatively recent compared to everyone else. But it does mean that if you have any more complex questions, and even if it's questions that initially seem quite simple, a lot of us either have a degree in a physiology background, not me, but like some of the others do, or have been in the sport long enough that they know, what physios have told them and stuff like that we can actually answer some of the more complicated questions. I mean, stuff like shin splints comes up a lot, and people usually say, oh, okay, well, that's just impact and stuff like that. It can be like a matter of replacing a shoe, but it can also be a matter of support where, you're overpronating too much, and the tib post along the inside of the shin is being overstressed, and it becomes more of a tendonitis issue. And there's little things like that, which, again, it's just a matter of going to a physio enough or doing a degree related to the sport. But if you go to a shop that, has people who don't really run or anything like that, they would just maybe sell you a more expensive trainer, just something a little bit more cushioned, right?
So you're giving people a little bit of guidance, although you're not, in terms of whatever the products.
And it's one of those things where we can have the range of customers. We work better with a wider range of customers. We can talk to people who are just getting into running. Like I said, it's important to kind of limit mileage and stuff. Again, get the right pair of shoes earlier on is usually best. Problem a lot of people run into is because, I mean, with any new thing, you don't necessarily know you'll like it. So you don't want to spend a lot on a pair of shoes initially. And that's just a very human thing to do. If I start off cycling, I'm not going to get a 10 grand road bike initially.
True.
But the important thing with running is that it's very, very intensive on the joints, especially, I imagine most of your viewers are listening in a built up area. They might have a park nearby, but they're going to have to run to and from there. So it's very important to have enough cushion there. And so if you start running in your lifestyle shoes, you might get a little bit, a little way into it, but you could start hurting quite quickly. Exactly. And then that builds a kind of, caution or hatred of running that you wouldn't necessarily have if you bought the equipment early on. So end of the day, running is quite a cheap sport. You just need the shoes. I mean, it's other stuff is nice, baseline shoes, and then that's it. You're in for another 500 miles. But, you know, with the experience here, you know, like I said, we've got some very, very good runners in-house. We can then talk to people who want to elevate that. If they want to get into speed training and use some of, you know, what in my head I, you know, refer to as the fun shoes, right?
Yeah.
With the plates and stuff. Again, not for everyone. It's important that you don't necessarily go straight into that. And in another shop, if you came in and asked for kind of, you know, an Adios Pro 3 or something, the person, you know, it's 220 quid shoe, might just put it through the till for you, even though it'll injure you 10k down the line. But with us, we have what we refer to in the trade as a conscience.
Okay.
So, you know, it's not necessarily, you know, we wouldn't necessarily put that through. It'd be like, are you sure you want to use that for your couch to 5k or something?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I value the team. Not only there's a lot of experience going on, you know, in the background, but it means that we can really effectively, you know, talk to people on many different levels in kind of the running journey, which is nice. So yeah.
And obviously, I suppose it's good for the shop. It would be, you want people sort of like coming back, because obviously if you are giving the right advice, and you know, you don't want to be giving the wrong advice, otherwise they're going to say, well, I had a bad experience there. And then
so it's difficult to sell someone a repeat pair of shoes if they quit running because you've given them the wrong pair as well. No, 100%. And
I think that's quite important, because I know I've bought some shoes from here as well, but I know as a general thing, wherever you are, because our listeners are around the world, but it's good to maybe, if you do trust a specialist running shop, then it means that those running shoes are, like you say, maybe 300k or something like that. You may be looking to replace it or something.
I mean, as a rough estimate, like 800k, maybe something like that. 500 miles, 800k, but you know, speed shoes a little bit less, that kind of thing. Depends where you're running.
You are going to want to, you know, be coming back to the to the same place. You know, if they've given you, you know, a good shoe, and then you're kind of injury free, whereas if you give you something that's...
So I'd say if I had to sum it up, I mean, that's kind of the ethos of Up and Running. It's like, well, you know, we're not just offering the products, we're also offering the experience. And although, you know, this shop in particular has quite a high, you know, experience of running. Yes, in total, we have some, like I said, really top athletes. All the other shops have, you know, a similar level. I mean, they're all runners at least. You know, they all run frequently in their spare time. They have a passion for the products that we sell. You know, I mean, the products that we do sell, we do use. So it's a matter of, we don't only know, you know, the drop of each shoe, or, you know, the cushion, what cushion, you know, brand is in each thing, what foam, but, you know, we also know actually how that translates to feel. So that I think is quite important. Yeah.
Great. Onto the Christmas gift ideas, something like that. So do you get people sort of coming in and saying, oh, you know, my son, or, you know, my boyfriend, or girlfriend, or whoever, they're into their running, or they're getting into their running, I want to get something which is kind of all as a stocking filler, sort of like below £15. What do we recommend?
Yeah, I mean, we lot of that. I mean, that's like, probably one of the most common questions like this time of year. To be fair, that's possibly, I mean, it's one of the easier ones really, because when you get up to the higher price ranges, clothing and shoes, it's kind of size dependent and all those things. You know, socks are a classic Christmas staple. So as long as you know the rough shoe size, that's obviously quite good because they work in bands. But no, socks, they are good. I mean, that's probably the second most important kind of piece of equipment to run on my own. Shoes first, socks second. That prevents the smaller things like blisters that, again, can kind of take the love out of running, can you know, prevent you from running. That's good. Other things, I mean, like water bottles, I find are nice. Either the ones that you carry on your person, or, you know, ones that a lot of runners, they have to do strength work in the gym. I do strength work in the gym. A lot of us do. Just anything to have around. I mean, I have an SIS water bottle. I'm rarely seen without it, which, you know, at the pub, it looks a bit weird sometimes when I'm sipping on it. But, you know,
what's that again?
Just Science and Sport is the brand, but just like a kind of less disposable water bottle. So just reusable water bottle. But I mean, who's laughing? I'm nice and hydrated at the pub, so I can balance it out with what alcohol I'm using at the time. But no, I mean, that's important, either if you want to carry it, or kind of, you know, just have it alongside for either recovery or any strength sessions in the gym you're using. Leads nicely onto kind of nutrition. again, like stuff like hydration tablets, gels. It's, if you know the person's kind of preference on flavor or brand first, that's nice. But even if you buy them a brand that they don't necessarily know, it can they might discover something and it's not going to completely waste a load of money, right? With gels and stuff, and maybe your longer distance endurance athletes, marathons and stuff, it's about finding something that works with your stomach nicely. And people have a preference in gel thickness or density and stuff like that. So, and flavors, of course. But yeah, anything like that's good. Let's see what else. I did briefly write a list. So see if I can find this. Here's one I prepared earlier.
On the sock side, because I know whenever I bought socks before, they tend to be sort of kind of are they quite specialist or something like that?
Depends.
Because I know I found some socks which were quite expensive, and there were others which you can either just get the Camel Garden.
So there are ones, there are compression socks. I wrote that down for a kind of higher price bracket because they are a little bit more specialist, a little bit more expensive. Most running socks will last longer than your regular socks. So, if you go and buy like a bulk pack of Puma socks from Sports Direct, they may be good for your strength sessions for running when they're a bit, being used a bit more intensive, or, it's a bit more important. They don't bunch up in certain areas. A proper running sock is brilliant. It's unbeatable. It's nice and elasticized. There's no points where it bunches up. Mainly it's just how the material binds the foot nicely. It shapes the foot. Yeah, they're a bit more breathable. There are different kinds. You can get thinner ones. Some people prefer that. You can get thicker ones with more cushion. Usually if people come in and they say, I'm not really sure the person's preference, you can't go wrong with just like a medium weight one. That's why the average is there. It does work for most people. But yeah, and there's different lengths and stuff. Obviously trainer cut, some people like to go for the really minimalistic ones down here, or, quarter length or something.
Yeah, just to play the ankle.
Exactly, yeah. So people have their own preference. Quarter length, again, nice medium one. That's the one I would kind of go to first. Crew length all the way up's a little bit. Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily go with that, but yeah, a quarter length sock is pretty much what you need, and you have a range of sizes, right? So usually small, medium, large, extra large. So if you roughly know that person's shoe size, that's fine. With shoes, sometimes they can size up a little bit differently. I also put gloves on this list because it's getting cold.
No, they are very good.
Depends. Sometimes they're above 15,
especially the time of recording, it is quite cold.
I know. Last couple of days have been brutal.
Being quite brutal, and especially you want, again, like you said, as long as they're kind of sweat proof and they're breathable.
Yes, yeah, so, and again, like I said, they can get a little bit higher in price. Sealskin ones, if you want full waterproof ones or at least water resistant ones, you can go for like 30 odd quid. But Ron Hill Classic gloves, they're kind of referred to as that, 15 quid, just keeps like a layer of heat on your hands. So it really does help.
So that's kind of the budget side. So if we're looking sort of mid-level, what?
I already mentioned like the compression socks and stuff.
Yeah,
they're interesting. They might be it's a little bit more specialist, not in kind of price, not just in price, but also fitting. So that might require the person to go in and try them first, because oftentimes they rely on not only like a range of foot sizes, but also kind of like a calf width and stuff, or diameter. They can aid recovery and stuff. So if you wear them like after a session, they've been shown to kind of help recovery. Some people like to use them when running as well. So actually to kind of reduce injury rate anyway. The lower leg is there isn't all that much material there in the grand scheme of things. All the force has to go through it at some point. So that's pretty much, along with the knee, like the prime spot where you'll see kind of injuries in runners. So yeah, some people swear by them. I have a couple of pairs. I usually use them for like recovery, but they'll usually be around like 40 quid. Some other stuff. Let's see what else I've got. Head torches. That's a good one, especially this time of year.
This time of year.
Again, there's kind of a range of them. Sometimes the really special ones will be like above 60 quid, but Silver's a good brand. I've got Nog, KNOGG. That's a good brand as well. It's some of them are a little bit more budget, which is nice. But
so this it just fits on the
head. Yeah, usually as a headband-esque thing, but you can get ones that act a bit like a chest rig or something if someone's not a fan of using it on the head. It can sometimes, it depends really. Some people have a problem with pressure points on the head, but for the most part they're pretty well cushioned nowadays, these, and they're pretty light as well, so the ones that go on the head, so it's not like that's kind of massively an issue, I would say. But yeah, that's a good seasonal one to look into, along with clothing, leggings important, long sleeves important now, definitely. So, although running, like I said earlier, the minimum is the shoes. It's nice not also to get hypothermia at the same time. Yeah. So it's a little bit difficult to use the shoes if you're, shivering on the floor. But no, like better kit is always nice. What else have I done?
Fluorescent jackets.
Yeah, exactly. So visibility stuff. So I've got here high visibility vests and clothing. Yeah, they've been proving very popular. You can either get the clothing itself, like Ron Hill do a good line in visibility stuff, that's right, yeah. But also just the vest on its own. If you already have long sleeves, or if you think the person already has long sleeves, it's always good to add something on top. Oftentimes a lot of these will literally just be black, and that's quite possibly the worst thing to be running around in at night. But yeah, so that's always good. I wrote here as well, I mean, like, I kind of mentioned again earlier, like Sealskin do these gloves, waterproof gloves. They do waterproof socks and stuff too. So if you know someone who's into trail running and either doesn't have Gore-Tex shoes or doesn't want Gore-Tex shoes, that's a whole separate thing in itself. But some people prefer to have regular shoes just because they're less seasonal specific, right? Or less season specific. They're a little less breathable Gore-Tex shoes. So some people, if they want a shoe they can use all year round, just get normal ones. When it becomes winter, you get some kind of sealskin socks, some waterproof socks. They'll price you around 30, 35 quid. So it's in this bracket, but it's still under. There's a lot of socks on this list, but it's part of the theme of Christmas, right? But no, that's a good more expensive thing. As a side note as well, we used to wear them rowing as well because they're submersible. So if you have to wade in with the boat, a lot of them have these kind of these band around the top. So not only is the sock itself fully waterproof, but you can actually put your foot in under the water and then get in the boat and not have to worry about it. But bit of a side note there. But they are good. They're good products. And like I said, they're for this kind of year, like time of year as well. It's just bang on.
That's it for another episode, and looking forward to speaking to you next week with some beginner hints and tips about running. I just want to let you know that you can follow me on X, or what was known as Twitter, at Brian's Run Pod. I have just recently set up a Facebook page which is called Brian's Run Pod, and I am on Instagram at Brian's Run Pod. Also, my website is www.briansrunpod.co.uk, where you can get show notes, or on whatever podcasting app you are listening to the show. Plus, all my episodes have chapter markers if you need to get to different segments of the show. Plus, leave a review, as it will help others find this podcast. Music is Happy Day by Stock Audio, not forgetting artwork by Alice Patterson. Till next week, thanks again for listening.